So great catching up with my next guest. He's got a big fight coming up here next Saturday, taking on Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 277. It's Anthony Lionheart Smith back here on the program. Anthony, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. It feels like we haven't done this in a while.
We haven't. I know it's been a bit. You've been off for a bit, but I did see you in Vegas, and it was briefly on the Friday night before 276. We talked briefly. There was a bunch of people there, but I actually kind of wanted to start there first. I know you have so many, opportunities outside the cage. How do you balance all that leading up to a big fight like this?
Typically I don't do as much of the desk work and stuff like that leading up to a fight, but this one I didn't know when I was going to fight, so I'd taken a handful of desk analyst gigs previous, and honestly I just took my training partners, and I took a partner and a coach on the road with me. ESPN and the UFC were super awesome about helping me kind of schedule around my obligations to them alongside of training. So yeah, man, it's typically not this busy, but I think it's been good for me, to be honest with you, just with the passing of my mom and all the stuff going on. I think it's been good to just keep myself busy.
I'm really sorry to hear that. When did that happen? The passing of your mom?
May.
Oh wow. Okay, sorry to hear that, man.
Week of May. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's been tough, man, but we're getting through it, and we're back at it.
Absolutely. I got to ask, what was it like doing SportsCenter?
It's awesome, dude. Being at the ESPN headquarters in Bristol was awesome, man. Like, the whole place is nothing but just sports history. There's so many cool, just seeing like the old ESPN flags, the microphone flags, and just all the ESPN logos and like parts of the building. And then there's like some of the wood from the ramps from like the X Games. The whole place is cool, man. It was kind of surreal for me. Like, I'm just a small town guy from Nebraska. You know what I mean? Like, I never expected to be walking around the ESPN headquarters and sitting at the SportsCenter desk, and it was wild.
Is that something that the UFC comes to you, or is that through your management? I know Vayner Sports has obviously their hand in a lot of different things. How does that get set up? I was curious about that.
No, all that stuff has actually been all me.
Good for you.
It started with working the desk for the UFC. They came to me and asked if it was something I'd be interested in. I was terrified. I didn't know shit about shit when it came to broadcasting. I didn't know anything. And I just took the opportunity, like something my mom had always told me, like, it doesn't matter if you don't feel like you're ready, or you're scared, or you're nervous, like, just take any opportunity possible. And if you blow it, at least you didn't not try, you know what I mean? So, I tried it, and then, that kind of worked into, the ESPN deal with, doing the pay-per-views and being on big ESPN. It's all kind of just snowballed into that.
And I think, as well, not going to take any credit here, but remember, we've been doing the fighter picks for a while. I think that helped a little bit, you getting that experience of, talking about fights and breaking it down, like, and you've been doing, stuff on Sirius. I know before you were doing, you've done like videos and podcasts and stuff. How much has that sort of prepared you for those moments?
Honestly, man, a lot. It's just, that's where the UFC noticed me to begin with, was doing interviews and fight picks and stuff like that. Like, I'm able to kind of break it down in a way that I think the hardcore fans will appreciate, and maybe sometimes the casual fans will actually understand. I think sometimes the one knock that I've ever heard on Dominick Cruz is that he gets so deep into the weeds, which I love. I love listening to Dom talk. But the only criticism I've ever heard of Dominick Cruz is that he sometimes gets so deep into stuff that I think sometimes people have a hard time, maybe just your casual fan, I think sometimes they have a hard time following. Dominick's one of the best in the business, and I think I'm probably closer to the type of analyst that Dominick is, because I am such a fight nerd, and I just nerd out on the details.
Yeah, no, you and me both. I think it's great. We know last time we spoke, there was that knee injury you had. You're sort of recovering from that. Was this the right amount of time off, or were you hoping to get a fight a little bit sooner than this?
I wanted to be back way sooner. You know me, man. I hate fighting in the summertime. I hate being in camp during the summer.
You should be on an RV right now instead of talking to me, right?
I know. I'm saying I should be on the road. We should be riding a razor. We should be in the middle of the wilderness somewhere doing some crazy shit. So I wanted to fight at the beginning of the summer so that I could, have the summer with my kids. But, just the way the division is lined up, the guys had fights, people needed time off. Ankalaev had Ramadan, which I'm super respectful of. I wanted to fight at the latest, like International Fight Week, but I was really wanted to fight in June. But I'm I'm understanding and respectful of the things he has to do, and he needed more time.
Stylistically, how are you looking at this fight with Ankalaev? He's had a lot of success, just the one blip, but against a guy who's submitting everyone in Paul Craig. What do you sort of make of him as an opponent?
He's fantastic. He's fantastic, man. He's a tough dude. You know, he walks forward. He's very simple. He doesn't do a lot of things. He's not like the crazy busy guy. He's not super high output. At least historically. You know, that could all change next Saturday. Who knows? But yeah, man, he doesn't do a lot, which doesn't leave a lot of opportunities to make mistakes. He stays within his wheelhouse. It's hard to get him outside of his box. And he's fundamentally sound. He's never really out of position. He's solid all the way around. There's no glaring hole in his game.
What did you make of his performance against someone that you fought in Thiago Santos? Obviously, he picked up the win in that one, but Thiago had some success as well. Was there anything you took away from that fight?
Yeah, I took a lot from that. I've only watched it just the one time when I watched it live, but I think we got a better idea of maybe where he's at. The style that he fights makes it really tough. If he's significantly just fundamentally and technically better than someone, it's going to really shine with him, because with a guy like Cutelaba who swings wild, who comes forward, who's a little bit crazy, Ankalaev's going to beat that guy every single time because he's too fundamentally sound. He's too defensively responsible. He's never out of position. He's powerful, so he's going to land his shots. He's going to stay safe. He's not going to get outside of himself there. I think we got a better understanding of where he is really with Thiago.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Training camp, I know, has been sort of all over the place. I know you've been doing, I saw you training at Jimmo. I saw you training with Chris Weidman as well. What has camp looked like up till this point, and what's it going to look like going forward?
Man, it's been a lot of fun, actually. I think sometimes, maybe I get a little bit stagnant and I don't know, maybe set my ways or whatever a little bit. So I got outside of the box this one, and I spent a lot of time with Chris Weidman, which I've done before, leading into the Jimmy Crute fight. I did, a good portion of it here at home, bringing in a couple guys, and kind of just really focusing on getting fundamentally sound and really sharpening my tools here. I did a little bit of it in Aruba. So I did about 7 days, about a week in Aruba, which was a fantastic experience. I think it was just kind of what I needed. Again, get outside of myself a little bit, get a little bit uncomfortable, get a bunch of really, really solid, big ass Arubans to get me out, to push me and get me outside my comfort zone. It's a bunch of looks that I haven't seen. They do things a little bit different. They got a real cool Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach there that had some really slick shit that was a little bit different than things I've seen before. The owner of the Millard Academy there was a fantastic striker, really big dude. The whole experience was cool, and it was a little bit of, it was nice to train my ass off in the morning and then go, you swim with sea turtles in the afternoon, and then getting your work in after that. It's tough to beat that. You know what I mean?
Who are some other training partners you got to work with? You mentioned Weidman. Is there any other names that people might be familiar with, whether it's at Jimmo or anywhere else that you got to work with?
Maybe not super familiar with. There's a kid, D1 All-American from Cal Poly that's been training with Weidman for a long time. His name's Tom Lane. Really, really fantastic wrestler. Those guys really pushed me there. There's another Division I guy there named Kerry. Kerry's as tough as they come, man. He's got 100 Division I wins, heavyweight, really, really tough. And obviously Chris Weidman, everyone knows what his game is. He's as tough as good as they come. Here at home, we brought in Jordan Heiderman from The Ultimate Fighter. Really strong heavyweight, really, really good look for Ankalaev as far as just the kind of wrestling and pressure and strength and just, man, Jordan's been making me work my ass off. And that guy's so strong. Mm-hmm. So doing my strength and conditioning with him, at my place, but he's kind of just been rolling through the last half of this camp with me. Just trying to keep up with him as far as, how heavy he lifts and how strong and explosive he is. It does wonders for me when I got someone to chase. So that's helped a lot. And then Haji, my Russian brother from he fights in Bellator. Haji's the shit. He's a sucker punch guy, and we got a good relationship with them. Brian Butler is as cool as they come. So yeah, that he helped make that connection, and just the guys that are here and the normal guys at Jimmo.
Love it. That's good. How's Chris looking in training right now? I know we haven't heard an update since obviously the injury he had, but imagine he's looking in fight shape if he's working with you.
Man, he's had a couple false starts where he's going for a while and then he's got to go do a quick surgery to take out some pins or a plate or whatever. He's getting back from those fairly quickly because it's not like it's a new surgery or something super traumatic. So, man, we were really getting after it, and then he did have to have another plate removed. So these last couple weeks, he's been more of in a coaching role. But man, he's still kicking my ass, dude. Even after the broken leg and getting back into it and not necessarily in fight shape, man, that guy is good. I know. I think I've told you this before. I don't get it, bro. I don't get how he's ever lost. He's so good, and just nobody controls me like he does. He's hard to hit. God damn, that guy's good.
You work with Wonderboy? Oh yeah, no, I bet. No,
it's
frustrating that. Yeah, I was gonna say with him being a champion or anything. I just one more name over there. I don't know if you worked with Wonderboy at all. Have you seen him in the gym when you were over there with Weidman? Because I know he trains with him too, right?
Yeah, I didn't see Wonderboy. I guess I seen him in Vegas, doing some of the media stuff and stuff like that. But I didn't get to train with Wonderboy this one.
Yeah, I didn't think so. What about your corner? How's that going to look this time around with some of the changes?
As of right now, to be Scott Morton, longtime jiu-jitsu coach, Danny Molina, longtime boxing coach, and then Weidman.
Love it. That's great, man. And how's this fight playing out? 3-round fight, which is interesting, right? Normally you're in the 5-rounders.
Yeah, it's fun. It's awesome, man. It's the second 3-round fight, second non-main event fight in the last 10, I think. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I especially at 205 pounds. Listen, we're not featherweights or bantamweights. Like, those guys can just put their foot on the gas and they can grind and sprint for 25 minutes. And at 205 pounds, you got to remember, like, my heart and lungs are the same size as those guys. So it's not like I get any more, like us at the highest level of the heavier divisions, I guess. I mean, we got to pace ourselves a little bit more. We can't fight at that pace. But in 3 rounds, I can sprint for 3 rounds.
There's a big fight coming up in your weight class a week after. We've got Thiago Santos, who I mentioned earlier, taking on Jamahal Hill. What do you think of that fight? That's a really interesting matchup, the veteran against kind of the up-and-comer. Man,
listen, I've always had a thing for Jamahal Hill. I don't know what it is about that guy. I just like him a lot. As much as, maybe you might think otherwise in some of his interviews and his post-fight stuff, and maybe even his social media a little bit, the kid's actually really humble. He really is. He's smart. He does a good job listening to his management. He takes the right fights at the right time. Again, it's another. I think he's a Brian Butler guy, actually.
He is, Sucker Punch.
Yeah, and so Brian's he trusts Brian. He's listening to him, which is tough when you're knocking people out the way he's knocking people out. I'm sure you could throw that guy in, any fight you really want. He's going to make it exciting. But he does have this uncanny ability to find shots, and he doesn't take anything clean. You know what I mean? He's just got this natural instinctual ability to find the right shot. It's not always the prettiest, but it's getting, you can tell over time he's gotten more technical and he's getting better. So maybe if you would have asked me a year ago, I might say, I think Thiago Santos without a question, but I can't confidently say that. If I really had to put my money on it, I might even pick Jamahal, just because of his ability to find shots and Thiago's unwillingness to engage these days.
What do you make of this Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz fight they announced the other day to headline UFC 279? Bit of left. I knew we had heard rumors, but I didn't think they'd actually put it together.
Well, I'm kind of happy for both guys. Like, Nate's getting what he wants. He wants out of his contract. He wanted a fight. He wanted an out. So now he's got it. It's a pretty tough way to go out the door. As much as I can say Chimaev's the more powerful striker, he's the more technical guy, he's the better wrestler. The only thing I can definitively give you a place that Nate Diaz has an advantage is conditioning and maybe his submission ability. But Nate Diaz is Nate Diaz, man, and he can mess around and make any fight tough for anybody. And even Leon Edwards, Nate's just got this uncanny ability to make people look bad. So there's a good chance that could happen. I'm not going to put any significant amount of money on it, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Nate turn this into just an ugly dog fight, kind of like the first and second Conor fight. But chances are Chimaev has a relatively easy time.
And then one other one I just wanted to ask you about, Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. What a fight that is. We're finally going to see that top 5 opponent for Islam. Not his fault, by the way. I know he's had some, opponents with injuries and stuff, but just your thoughts on that fight. One of the best lightweight fights of all time, in my opinion.
For sure. It's a hardcore's dream. Absolutely. Man, this is another one of those fights where I need to do a better job of maybe listening to the masses a little less, because I picked against Oliveira versus Gaethje. I picked against Oliveira versus Chandler. I picked against him versus Dustin Poirier. And every time he makes a liar out of me. And I think I weigh too much how hittable he is. That's the thing that's always bothered me. You get in there with a guy like Chandler, who can control where the fight happens because he's such a good wrestler and has got explosive power in his hands. And you're a guy who largely depended on his jiu-jitsu for a long time, who's hittable. Like, I don't know why you would pick Oliveira versus Chandler. And then you go Poirier. We're like, well, come on, this is Dustin goddamn Poirier. Like, he's the uncrowned champion, right? Who's great wrestler, defensively specifically, and got firepower in his hands. Like, okay, that seems like a fair pick. Like, you'd probably pick Oliveira. And then Gaethje, you're like, well, come on now. Gaethje's a goddamn Division I All-American and dynamite on his feet. Why would you not pick Gaethje over Oliveira? And then he just, every time he changes the game. It's like, sometimes it makes me feel like he listens to what I say and then he just does the opposite. Like, yeah. So I'm done. I'm going Oliveira because I think that his striking has caught up significantly to his grappling. I think that he's dangerous on his feet now than he hasn't always been that dangerous on his feet. I mean, how many wars have we seen Gaethje in, and his ability to come back and still land even when he's hurt? I mean, he got sank, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. One shot, and then submitted. So he did the same to Chandler, and he just wore out Poirier, like, was able to withstand. I mean, he took big shots against Poirier and was never shook. I think that his grappling is going to be dangerous for Islam, at least dangerous enough to where there's going to be more striking than maybe Islam is going to want to have. So I would give the striking advantage to Oliveira. I would give the submission advantage to Oliveira, and the wrestling advantage to Islam. So, like, Islam's not going to take him down, slice and dice his guard, and put him in bad spots. It's just likely not going to happen. Now, could he take him down, slow him down, sit in his guard, put his head up against the fence, keep his hips squared the whole time, and avoid getting submitted and maybe take a round? For sure. Could he do that 3 out of the 5? Possibly. But I think that's a dangerous game to play with Charles Oliveira. That's 3 or 4 times you have to enter in that gray area where Charles is going to be opportunistic. He's going to grab your neck on the way down. He's going to grab an arm. He's going to take your back. That's a lot of times of playing with fire. So I'm done doubting Charles Oliveira. I'm a believer. I'm going with the champ.
You're top of your division. Jiri Prochazka obviously winning the title. I know you had some comments on that fight itself and everything. Well, you know what? You gave your opinion. I don't think, and you're in the division. I think if anyone should be listening to someone,
my opinion lined up with their own specific opinions of their own performances.
Yeah,
they said the exact same thing I said.
Yeah,
I just said it first. That's like, I just, because I was right there. I think that they had technically the worst performances of their lives. It made for an amazing fight. They were both able to show their amazing hearts, their grit, their determination, their warrior spirits, their championship prowess. I can't rave enough about them. Technically, it was trash. They made a lot of mistakes.
Well, it looks like that fight's going to be next. Jiri sort of went on, did a video on social media saying, "Hey, Glover, I accept your."
Well, I don't know about you, but I don't think Jiri makes those decisions.
No, I know, but like, who do you think would be like? Obviously, your fight's in the running as well, especially with.
No, I think they would have made that already if that's what they were going to do without waiting to see what happens. I think they're waiting on Ankalaev and myself, and I think if we stink it up, I think they'll probably book the rematch. I think if we go out and I do what I'm expected to do, or Ankalaev does what he's expecting to do, I think that the winner of this fight gets a title shot.
Yeah, okay. I can see it. I can see it. If let's say, though, Jiri and Glover does happen next, who would you favor in the rematch just after what you saw in the first fight?
Probably Glover. Probably Glover. I think that there was a lot of circumstances going into that fight. I'm not going to make excuses for Glover, but listen, there's excuses and there's reasons. I think he had a tough weight cut and he doesn't want to be honest with everyone about how bad it actually was. I think that the time change and the jet lag and a lot of that stuff had factors into it. The older you get, the harder it is to do some of that stuff. The weight cuts get harder, the traveling gets harder. It takes you longer to adjust to time changes and jet lag and all that stuff. And I think he struggled more than he's willing to admit publicly, because I don't think he wants to be an excuse maker. And to be honest, if they book that fight, it's one of the only ones I'll yield for. It's if they gave it to Jan, I'd probably throw a fit. I would be very vocal and angry about that.
Yeah, that was going to be my other question, because obviously that fight kind of ended like the fight last week, where there was an injury and we didn't really get to see too much, right?
Yeah, I mean he never defended against a light heavyweight successfully. I like Jan. Again, I don't want it to sound like I'm talking bad about him. I'm just making my case for my own title shot. He got relatively dominated by Glover, and then I got a fake win. I think Rakic was winning that fight and was coming on as the fight continued. And you know what? Injuries happen, and Jan's right. His body lasted longer than Alexander's did. And he won. But I mean, that's not it's a win, but it's not a real one. And I think that with a win over Ankalaev, I think I have a better claim to it. But if it's Glover, I'll shut up and wait.
If you were to fight Jiri next, how do you look at that fight from a style perspective? Because Yuri's really unique in your division as far as what he brings to the table.
Much fun. He's so much fun. I think that the fight with him, it stylistically is a lot of fun for me, because I shine in a lot of areas that he likes to play in. So he's very free and flowy and he's very instinctual, and he leaves himself open. I think in a lot of his, because he's having so much fun and he's so martial arts based, I do think he leaves himself open. He's more hittable than I think he needs to be. I think if he really broke down and was just being focused on being super fundamental and technical, I think he'd be a lot harder to deal with, at least for me. And that's very me specific. I think he would create more problems if he was a little bit more boxed himself in just a little bit. But just fighting at this, this kind of, I don't even want to say wild and crazy, because I don't think it's really wild and crazy. It's more just free and flowy. I think obviously I have a significant grappling advantage. But he's powerful. He's big. If he touches you, he could put you down at any point in time. And he showed that time and time again. But I think I could take advantage of him in a lot of those gray areas that he likes to play in.
Okay, a couple of rapid fire questions. I know we're over time here. Conor McGregor, who does he fight in his return? Because Diaz is out of the equation now. What do you think happens with him?
I think there's the Michael Chandler fight. I don't know how interesting that's going to be for Conor, just with the wrestling disadvantage that he likely has going into that fight. I don't know who they're likely going to match him. I'd like to see him versus like a Dan Hooker. I think that's a good stylistic. I don't know how much that sells. I don't know if you really need to even pay attention to the selling part of it for Conor, because I think he kind of sells on his own. So, man, I'd really like to see Dan Hooker, to be honest.
Okay. What about, I'll throw another name out to you, because I always thought this made sense because they're two big names, and you can talk about this one fighter's regression, but Tony Ferguson, does that not seem like a slam dunk with how big those guys are?
That's a slam dunk. I'd love to see Tony get that fight just because of the body work that he's put in. I just don't know if stylistically, I think that's a bad matchup for Tony. And I think I just don't want him. I don't want them to just set up some squash match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So I honestly, it's another one of those things though. Tony could make that fight really ugly, and
if it gets to the ground, right? Tony's got the ground.
right,
You know, that's where things get interesting. So
that
that's
gets
all I was
really
kind of thinking.
and Tony's he's not afraid to pull guard.
Yeah.
You know, if they get close enough, he'll Imanari roll. You know, he doesn't give a shit. But I think that's a possibility. I think that's a huge fight though, especially the build up to that. I think Tony's more focused on trying to get Khabib wrapped up into an ultimate fighter coaching position though.
Yeah. We'll
which
see.
Is so interesting to me.
Someone I know you're buddies with, Stipe Miocic. Looks like him and Jones are going to fight. Do you have any insight? I don't know the last time you talked to him. You guys have the same manager, obviously.
Yeah, you know, we hung out at International Fight Week. You know, and I probably owe my friend an apology. I was always so worried about Stipe's size, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, man, I've been in there with Jon, and he's such a big dude, and you know, you add 40 or 50 pounds to Jon, and that's an even bigger problem to deal with because he's already long and rangy, and then you add on some size and power, and it's just a problem. Stipe was there for a while. You know, his diet had changed, and you know, his workouts had changed, and he was, you know, Stipe was just a light heavyweight that wasn't cutting at one point in time. You know, he was in the low 230s, which is my size. So at heavyweight, a heavyweight Jon Jones gave me a lot of pause for Stipe. And then I hung out with him International Fight Week. I'm not shitting you. That guy is fucking huge. And he is like in shape. I gave him a hug and he was like stone. So like for anybody that thinks Stipe is not working right now, he is working. And he doesn't talk about it a lot. He'll probably be mad at me for telling this, but he's got to be 260. He's 250 at the minimum. And he is jacked. He is cut up. He is in shape. He's been working in silence for sure. So maybe I pulled the curtain back a little bit.
No worries. No, it's good insight. So do you think he beats Jones if he fights? Because Jones hasn't fought in a while either, and he's got to come up the weight class, right?
I think he can. Yeah, I think he can. And that's it's so crazy when you just, you know, that was the one thing that gave me a lot of pause. Stipe's crazy powerful, crazy power. I've sparred like one round with him, and like it's never something I want to do again. That dude hits so hard. Yeah. He's a good wrestler. He's a fantastic boxer. He has all the skills and abilities to beat a guy like Jon Jones.
What do you make of Kamaru Usman saying he wants to fight at 205? I know he's got to handle business against Leon Edwards, but what do you think that's him talking this? Do you think it's his manager? You know, we hear his manager say things in the news to kind of get headlines, but do you really believe that Kamaru would do well at 205 pounds?
I don't think, I think it's just something he's talking about. Like, oh man, I think I could go up there and win that, but I don't think he actually would ever do it. To be honest with you, if I had to guess, I don't suspect we're going to see Kamaru Usman around for a long time. Like for a lot longer time is what I'm getting at. Like I see Usman winning a couple more fights and doing all he wants to do and sailing off into the sunset with, you know, a bank account full of money and a lot of time left to spend with his daughter. So I know it's one of the most important things to him. I think it's just a soundbite. If he did, is there guys at 205 he could beat? 100%. 100% he could beat a lot of high level guys.
But top 5 though, because that's what his manager said. He top 5. He feels like he can. I know he's going to pitch for his guy here, but you know what do you think of that?
I think he'd have a tough time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Understand.
I like Kamaru Usman, so I'm not like.
No. I know, and I don't mean that either. I just wanted to get your perspective, right? Like we're not throwing shade at him. I'm just saying like that's a big leap.
Well, right? I'll beat the shit out of him. But
yeah, like, that's you know that's not what I was asking. Yeah.
Would he be competitive for sure? For sure. Is he going to beat all the guys in the top 5? I don't believe that.
So you think he'd be competitive with guys in the top 5 though? Really?
He'd make it tough for sure. For sure. This isn't going to be like this wouldn't be like you know, this guy from 170 comes up and everyone just stomps him. Like you got to remember
he's dominant at 170, 100%. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Greatest fighter in the world. Like I think just the size difference, the reach, the strength, you know, he grabs people now and they go, oh fuck, you know, it's not going to happen at 205. That's what it feels like when everybody grabs us.
You talked about missing your summer here. This is going to be my last question. Any plans after this fight? Like you got to get a little bit of camping in because we're almost coming up to school time. I assume you got something booked or what's after?
For sure. Yeah. As soon as I'm home, we're going to get packed and we're going to go out on the road. I don't know where we're going to go yet. I'm working the Utah event So I thought about driving out there, and pulling the Razor and the trailer out there, and then going straight from there to Moab. I'll probably do South Dakota. Probably gonna take a guy's trip, maybe to the sand dunes. I got a lot of stuff planned. So it's gotta be quick though, because the kids start school like middle of August.
And remind me, you golf, right?
Yeah, not well though. Not
Okay.
well at all.
I was going to say, have you golfed with any other UFC fighters? Because I think that would be interesting.
No. You know who I want to golf with though? Derek Lewis.
Yeah,
That's
does he
who I
golf?
Really, he does. He
Oh,
does.
wow. Okay. We'll
Me and
set it
him,
up.
we're about the same level of golfer. So, I've never golfed with him, and I just think it would be a blast. Just me and Derek. I don't know, about 20 Modelos. I think it'd be a blast.
For sure.
I think we'd have a lot of fun.
Anthony, you always go over time with me, man. I can't thank you enough. It's always good chatting with you, and good seeing you in Vegas a few weeks ago. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, I know you do the podcast with Bisping, anything at all, man, the floor is yours.
Yeah, make sure you get over and like and subscribe and share with your friends the Believe in Me podcast. Me and Bisping are over there killing it. We have a lot of fun. If you want, go over there, send in a video question. All the info for that will be on the Twitter page and the YouTube channel. Yeah, I just appreciate all the support. I really do. Fans have been really good to me. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have my livelihood. So I appreciate everyone, and I'll see you guys next Saturday, only on pay-per-view.